Dee Allender with Hancock County Solid Waste District, and today we are going to be talking about where does my trash go? So, first of all, does your trash go here, out on the ground, next to the fence? Do you just roll down your car window and throw it out the window? Of course you don't. Does it go here in a local pond or river? You just take it out there and just dump it where nobody will see it? Of course not. It goes either in the recycling bin or in the trash bin. First of all, you have trash cans located around your house and you throw your trash into it. And then somebody has to go around to those trash cans and empty them. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's not. But those cans are emptied and taken out to a bigger trash can outside, either in your garage or outside of your garage. And that can is called a toter. And that toter is taken down to the end of your driveway once a week for the trash man to come pick it up. So he comes in his big trash truck and he empties your toter and takes off with it. So what happens when his trash truck gets full? He can't pick up anybody else's trash. Well, then he has to head off to the landfill. And this is a picture of a landfill. And you can see the trash is just sitting up there on the ground. So basically what happens is at the top of that hill, the trash truck would back up to that hill and he'd open up the back end of his truck and he would dump all the trash directly onto the ground. And that is a landfill. So as you can see, there is a compactor, which is that yellow tractor in the picture. And it has big metal wheels on it, and the compactor is very, very heavy. He pushes that trash to various areas around the landfill, to wherever it needs to go, and then he drives backwards and forwards over the top of it all day long. And when he's doing that, he's crushing that trash and compacting it to the earth, making it as tight to the earth as it possibly can, so that there's no empty space in the landfill. We want to fill it all up with trash. We don't want empty space in there. This is a picture of a landfill, and there are many layers that go into building a landfill. And it's not just digging a hole and dumping the trash into it like we used to do several years ago, but now it's a more complicated process. They still dig that big hole, but before they can throw trash into it, they have to add all these layers. So the bottom layer, layer A, is our groundwater. So that's our ultimate goal, is to protect our groundwater. We don't want to contaminate that and make anybody sick. So we have to make sure that we stay above that groundwater so we don't dig our holes too deep that we hit that. We have to leave some dirt and clay down in between our landfill and where the water is. So layer B is compacted clay. So once we dig our hole down to a suitable level, we have to add 3 feet of clay in the bottom of that hole. Now it seems kind of silly, you dig a hole and then you fill it back up, but that is a very important step in the process of protecting our water. So we add 3 feet of clay in there, and they have to pack that down so that it's nice and smooth. They have to check to make sure there's absolutely no rocks in it, because we don't want any rocks to poke holes in the next layer, which our next layer is layer C, which is a plastic liner. That plastic liner acts like a giant trash bag in our landfill, and that helps to keep any liquids or anything from seeping out into our groundwater. On top of that layer C is a geotextile mat, which is letter E, and that is basically like a piece of fabric, kind of looks like a piece of carpet maybe, and that's laid down on top of the plastic to prevent it from getting poked by something on top of it. So on top of that, layer F, we have to add a layer of gravel. And that layer of gravel in there acts as a barrier between the trash, and then it allows water to seep down into our collection pipe. So letter D is the collection pipe, and that's called a leachate collection pipe, and that collects any water that we collect in the bottom of the landfill. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you put a plastic bottle that's sealed into a bucket of water, it's going to float. So if we have water in our landfill, there's some pieces of trash that are going to float. And we definitely don't want our trash to float. We want it to stay right where we put it. So we take out all the water out of the landfill, and we do that with this collection pipe, or the leachate collection pipe. Okay, so then layer G is a thin layer of gravel that we put on top of all the rock. And then H, we have to put layers of dirt in there on top of the gravel. And then finally, you can start putting your trash in. So each section of the landfill is called a cell. We don't just dig up the whole landfill all at once. We do it in small little sections. So each section is called a cell. So the old cell is the one that we did last time, and we have to connect them together so it becomes one giant landfill. All right, so what about your recycling? What happens to that? So basically, if you recycle at your house, you have a separate can that you put your recycling in. Now, for household recycling, we can recycle glass, paper and cardboard, plastic, and metal. So those are the things that you can recycle at your home. Those can go either in a home recycling bin, or you can take them to a public recycling bin. And there are a few of those around our community, depending on what you have. So it's very important that you read the instructions on the recycling bin if you take it to a community recycling location, and make sure you only put the items in there that they will accept for their recycling. Here is another recycling bin that we have for the solid waste district. We used to use this as a fundraiser for schools, and they would collect newspapers in this container, and then they were able to sell the newspapers to a paper recycling facility and get money for the school. However, due to the expense of recycling, they're no longer able to pay money for the paper. So we still have this bin, and we have it located out behind the Daily Reporter newspaper. And we will still recycle your newspapers in this container, but it's not used as a fundraiser anymore. So unfortunately, it was a great program while it lasted, but all good things must come to an end. So once we get all our recycling collected in the recycling bins, there is a truck that comes and picks up that recycling and takes it to a recycling center. The recycling center is called a Murph, a Material Recovery Facility, MRF, Murph. And what they do at that recycling facility is they separate out all the recycling. So you know how we had all these different things that we could put in our recycling bin, the glass, paper, cardboard, plastic, and metal? Well, they have to separate those items out because a metal recycler is not going to accept glass. So we have to separate those items out and make sure we send the correct items to the correct company so that they can be recycled. So what we do is they will have conveyor belts, and all the recycling goes up on this conveyor belt, kind of like an escalator. And there are people that stand there along that belt, and they separate out all your recycling. So the first person may have the job of collecting all the pop cans. So they have a big, basically, bin next to them, and they collect all the pop cans that come along that conveyor belt in front of them and put them in the bin. The next person, maybe it's their job to collect all the paper. So they go through, as that recycling passes along in front of them, they go and pick out all the paper that they possibly can, and as fast as they can, because that conveyor belt is moving pretty quickly. And so that keeps going along until all the items are separated, and then the items are shipped out to the proper recycler. Now, when we have paper for paper recycling, it's not very economical to ship just loose paper in the back of a truck, or here in this picture, it's shredded paper. That would probably just blow out of the truck and just make a mess along the road. So what we do instead is we collect all the paper and we put it together in giant bales. And you can see the bales in the background of this picture and over on the right. So the bales on the right are shredded paper, and it looks like the bales in the back on the left are cardboard, and the bales in the middle in the back are kind of a mixed paper and cardboard. It does not look like they are shredded. They put all the paper together in these big bales, and then they are able to stack those bales onto a semi-trailer and take them to the paper recycling facility. Now, we can get 30 of these bales into one semi-trailer. So they stack these bales up and they wait until they get 30 of them, and then they are able to send them off to the recycling center. Here's a picture of a bale of aluminum cans. So this would go off to the metal recycler once they've acquired 30 of them. Here's a picture of a plastic bundle of water bottles that has been baled, and pop bottles, and that will be collected and sent off to a plastic recycling facility. And here's an up-close picture of a cardboard bale. Now, as you can see from this picture, these bales are really big bales. These bales weigh approximately 2,000 pounds. So they're very, very heavy, and they have to be moved with a forklift. So as you can see from this picture, there's an average sized lady. It's not me, but it looks kind of like me. But she's standing next to these bales, and as you can see, 2 bales high is almost as tall as she is. So these bales are really, really big. So they stack them up and they wait until they collect 30 of them, and then they can ship them off. Now, once they arrive at the recycling center, they take those items and they turn them into something new. So they will take all that cardboard and they will grind it down and mix it up with whatever ingredients they need to, and they will create new paper from that cardboard, and then that paper is able to be used again for something else, maybe for your school papers. So this is where our trash goes, and this is where our recycling goes. So it's much better if we are able to recycle, and then we can save space in our landfill and not fill it up as quickly. If we end up throwing all of our recycling into the trash, that landfill is going to fill up very, very quickly. And so we want that landfill to last as long as it can, because once that landfill is full, we're going to have to build another one. And when that one fills up, we have to build another one. So to save our land, we don't want to, use it all for trash. In order to save that land, we want to take out as much of that trash as we possibly can by using it for recycling. And then that way we can use those pieces of trash, which are recyclable, we can use those over and over and over again to make new products. So it's very important to the earth that we recycle and are able to reuse those items rather than just throwing it into our landfill and letting those landfills fill up. So, hope you've enjoyed our presentation for today. If you have any questions, you can email me and I would be happy to answer your questions. Have a great day.